Adaptive fitness is where a sport or activity is modified to meet athletes with disabilities where they are. Instead of saying, "you can't do this," trainers at Youth in Action modify workouts to each athlete so they can do anything, even if it looks a little bit different. Imagine moving all the way across the country with the opportunity to play D1 football at the University of Miami, only to get injured before you even set foot on the field. At first class, this gym looks like the hundreds of other gyms in Miami, equipped with weights, exercise machines, and a rock climbing wall. But this gym, called Youth in Action, is actually very different. It's where people with physical and mental disabilities come for adaptive exercises. For Jordan Almendral, it's a place that allowed him to continue his journey after a life-altering car accident left him with a brain and spinal cord injury 15 years ago.
I was an athlete my whole life prior to injury, and I still consider myself an athlete post-injury, but it gives you back that drive and competitiveness from before.
After trying out a few different therapy facilities, Jordan met his Youth in Action trainer, Iris, in 2019.
She incorporates therapy with the CrossFit-like exercises. This pre-injury, I did CrossFit, so I was like, let's do it. I jumped on board, and I've been coming ever since.
Like any gym, all athletes at Youth in Action have different goals. Lexi here has been working on her core strength with her trainers Jay and Gigi.
Makes it harder. You think Jay's gonna let you fall? Have you ever fallen with Jay? No. So then why would today be the first day?
Lexi's had cerebral palsy since birth. For her, fitness is all about proving people wrong.
People sometimes take pity on me because of my disability, but the good news is I'm underestimated a lot. So when I overachieve, they're like, oh, well, she really could do it.
Lexi doesn't want or need anyone's pity. She knows she can do anything. But living with cerebral palsy can feel isolating. And when Lexi feels like she might fall, her trainers are there to catch her, in more ways than one.
I struggle with depression and anxiety a lot. Thank you for your motivation. It reminds me that I'm capable of doing anything despite my disability. Adaptive fitness is where a sport or activity is modified to meet athletes with disabilities where they are. Instead of saying, "you can't do this," trainers at Youth in Action modify workouts to each athlete so they can do anything, even if it looks a little bit different. Youth in Action started back in 2015 with a simple idea. What if therapy didn't feel like treatment for the sick, but empowerment for people who are already strong?
I was working at another therapy center, and I started to get bored with the treatment that I was providing. I was competing at CrossFit competitions, so I figured I'd start blending both and make my kids do CrossFit and just adapt what I had there. The parents were like, "what are you doing to my child? Like, he loves going to therapy now." And they were asking me if there was anything else like this. I couldn't find anything, so I decided to make it my own.
Here, everyone who walks in the door is called an athlete.
I call them athletes because at the end of the day, that's what they're here doing. They're here working out.
Nobody is defined by a diagnosis. Strength looks different for everyone, and sometimes it means having the courage to keep showing up.
Your mental challenges are just as big as the physical ones, but it does help when you have such encouraging therapists and people telling you you can do things rather than, no, you can't do that.
You have to believe in them, and you have to believe that they're fully capable of doing whatever it is that you want them to do, because that's the only way that they're going to ever believe in themselves.
For Jordan, for Lexi, and for every athlete who comes through these doors, the greatest strength isn't defined by what you can lift.
Sometimes I forget that I'm as normal as anybody else, despite my disability. But sometimes when people point out my disability, it really hurts. Because then reality comes up to me like, oh, I'm still disabled, I'm not normal, I can't do anything. But they really remind me they really remind me to believe in myself, and I love them so much. I love you guys, thank you.
Dara Karachi, UMTV. At first glance, the University of Miami men's tennis players look like any high-level team. Focused, competitive, locked in. But listen closer and you'll hear it. While they may speak different languages, what they've built here goes far beyond words.
You have to look some mother, father in the eyes and tell them they would take care of like their children. So I don't take that lightly. It's a privilege, but it entails a huge responsibility.
That promise matters, especially for players like Nacho Sanchez, who left his home in Spain behind.
When I came to America, our situation was the same. Like, it was tough for us to be away from our family. Like the culture that we have here, I think we are more than teammates. We're like a family. Here is like, I don't have any brothers, and for me, like the tennis team, like I would say that it's a family.
A common misconception is that tennis is largely an individual sport, not heavily reliant on relationships or communication for success. But these young men have proven that that couldn't be further from the truth. What they may lack in commonalities in terms of native countries or native languages, they make up for with their bonds, both on and off the court, as one team and one family. But they also recognize that inclusion on the team goes both ways, and they've got a funny way of enforcing it.
We speak French or Spanish. We run a little bit as a little punishment. We start like speaking Spanish or French. The people that they don't understand that language, probably they think that they are excluded of the conversation, and that's the last thing that we want.
5 countries, 4 languages, 1 team. The Hurricanes didn't just find a tennis program in Miami, they found a home and a family they chose. Dara Karachi, UMTV.
Guess on three, 1, 2, 3, yes!
Going at number 3, I feel like this might be controversial based on what we were just talking about. I'm going to say the New York Giants select Shedeur Sanders at number 3, quarterback for the Giants. Listen, clearly we've struggled immensely at the quarterback position, and whether or not Shedeur Sanders his draft stock has tanked in the last few weeks here, I think that you also have to take a look at kind of the attraction that he's going to be bringing to the fan base, the excitement that surrounds him being Deion Sanders' son and just a really flashy player. Now, whether or not I think that's a good enough reason to draft somebody is, again, questionable, but, you know, if I'm just looking at it, I think this is what they're going to do. I'm going to go with the UConn Huskies. Now, as a team, they've got the best assist-to-turnover ratio in the entire NCAA Women's Conference, as well as multiple 30-plus point wins throughout the conference and their regular season. Let me raise you this. So the South Carolina Gamecocks, right, they're nowhere near as seasoned. It's a lot of young players on this team, a lot of freshmen, sophomore carrying the team, right? Look at their performance throughout the tournament. Their last few games have been very close, tight games where they've barely been able to pull out the win.
Against Maryland,
you know what? They can get themselves over the hump, but it's a big struggle to get there. Now, can they pull that off when it comes down to 2 teams? I don't know.